Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to full shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
I'm Hope Madden.
This is It's Movie Time. Not a great time of year for movies.
No.
All right. In fact, it could all be downhill. Oops, hey, let's talk about that movie.
Let's do that.
No, it's not a remake of Robert Redford in Downhill Racer, is
it? It is not. It is not. It's an Americanized version of Force Majeure, just a great foreign film from about 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
You know, I almost wish we were talking about Force Majeure. It is such a good film.
It really is.
And I don't know whether it's just that Swedish subtlety about it. I mean, what's the basic premise of this thing?
Well, so a family goes on vacation in the Alps, and they are sort of on this outside deck eating, and there's a controlled avalanche, but they don't realize it's controlled, and so they see this avalanche coming toward them, and they're not the only ones. There are other people who are dining who freak out and run, and they freak out. They think an avalanche is coming. They think they're going to die, and the mother stays at the table and protects her children, and the father grabs his phone and runs off. And then the rest of the movie is the family trying to come to terms with this while the father sort of tries to revise history, and the mother is just like, I mean, everything has changed for her and for the kids.
You know, it's Downhill stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell.
Yes.
And so that's kind of, I mean, I'll tell you what my challenge about Downhill is.
Yes.
It is billed as a comedy. It does. I mean, did I miss the comedic elements of this film, except when she's with the instructor?
I think that it is a comedy, but it's certainly a very dry, subtle comedy. It's not the kind of comedy you would expect, certainly from Will Ferrell. Maybe from Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but certainly it's not a Will Ferrell comedy.
Boy, it isn't.
No.
He stares at this kind of dumb look.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what he's given there is very little to defend himself.
How do you defend that? Well, so this is what I think. This is what I think is the biggest problem with this film. Is that it softens the bite of the original movie in Americanizing it, but it doesn't find a better way to tell the story. So it leaves it sort of in this middle ground, and the casting, while I think both Ferrell and certainly Julie Louis-Dreyfus, she is amazing in this movie, the casting makes you expect it to go way farther in one direction than it goes, but it doesn't go as far enough in the other direction, the way Force Majeure does, so you're kind of left at this middle ground of some interesting scenes, but a movie that I don't think really, in the end, does anything in particular.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if my concern with it is because I'm a male and because I think this is challenging notions of male cowardice, about the role of a male and protecting a family and those kind of things we've always accepted. He bolts from this, and it would appear as his friends try to parse the whole thing that it was just a natural reaction of self-preservation. But anyway, I just don't have any resolution on this darn thing. She's beating him up every frame of that movie. And he's just not able to defend himself.
Yeah, I think, again, I feel like that was, in the original film, that was what was so brilliant about it, is that you watch this unfold, and it's hard to take his side, but then there's a B story, there's the friend couple, which has so much more meat in the original film. And in this one, really, it's just a vehicle for the female character to fully, finally articulate what she's feeling. And in the original, it is another way to basically ruin a relationship, to look at how our presuppositions about gender roles can ruin a relationship.
Yeah.
But then also the third act of the original film, Force Majeure, is just a biting, brilliant, insane piece of filmmaking, and the resolution in this movie is so weak. By comparison, really isn't much of a resolution at all. I didn't think.
Is it the same resolution in both films?
Not at all, no. Remember, there's a whole bus trip in the original film, and they just sort of make up for it with just the exit
because
at the hotel.
This one is really hokey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, are they serious?
I know.
I thought I had to go back to the original and see how could they pull this off, because this is
Oh,
really.
yeah, the original. It's mind blowing how well they do it. And in this one, and it's funny. I was really optimistic about this movie, not only because of the casting, but because Nat Faxon and Jim Rash wrote and directed it, and they have an Oscar. They wrote The Descendants, Clooney
Yes,
a few years back.
That's right.
And they also wrote and directed a really lovely comedy from a few years ago called The Way, Way Back. With Sam Rockwell and like a water park and a family dysfunction. It was so good. So I really was hopeful about this, and I do think it's worth seeing, if only for Julia Louis-Dreyfus' performance. She's amazing in
Yes,
it.
she is.
And so much of it is just her facial expressions.
Well,
As the scene unfolds around her, you just watch her facial expressions. She's a gem.
Well, you know what, I was thinking that both of them have made fortunes on being somewhat clueless.
Yes.
But she's the opposite of this. She is on top of it.
Yeah, she is.
And of course, yes, you're right. Her genius is her facial expressions. My God.
And you know what? I just read that not only had the two of them never worked together, they'd never met, which I find amazing.
Yes.
And I think that they have a great chemistry and but I think for more of a comedy, like he's so big and she's so small,
Yes,
and
right, yeah.
she's so sharp and he's so blundering, and a real comedy might have served them better.
Yeah, I agree, and I think tonally they're just not sure where they want to go with
Yeah.
it. And so I'm sitting there thinking, this is, because I'm a male, I'm thinking this is really serious. You know, the protector of the family, or as a human being, running from something like that. I'm just wondering why I can't get more of it, because I think you were right. It's not resolvable. Right? You know, either you stay there with your family or you don't. And if you don't, what else do you call it than cowardice?
Right.
I mean, is there any other way? So I guess maybe I'm asking for something that isn't true. And then your suggestion, which is, hell, make it a comedy then. Make it a true comedy.
Maybe, or you know, don't shy away from the way Force Majeure ended it, because Force Majeure really did something brilliant that challenged what you thought you understood through the entire film.
Oh, Hope Madden. This is, I think we've made something good out of a really bad time of year. The metaphors of the title is perhaps a little bit too obvious.
Yeah.
Downhill, their relationship is out. But it does, when you go past all of my concerns, it does hit at the heart of how deep is your relationship, particularly when you're a husband and wife, and that something like this puts them into stark relief as human beings and as a family unit. Anyway, yes, so I may be making more out of it than it is, but there's not a whole lot out there. So Hope Madden, the film is downhill. What grade do you award it?
I think a C+.
All right, I'm a C, and that's the best we're going to get.
I think so.